You know, these little sharpeners are quite good. They're nice, they're easy to use. You put the knife in and you slide it back. Now I was trying a different technique last night where you hold the knife and you try to just ride it like this. Now this obviously has a wonderful flaw in that if you happen to have a little bit of resistance, well, you cut your finger off. Now I have to go to CVS Pharmacy at 2 o'clock in the morning to get some super glue to cover this bad boy. That's right, that's dried blood and super glue that's holding a wound in place. I did wash it, so I'm not going to pass away from some sort of nefarious infection. However, it doesn't look good. Some advice is that you shouldn't sharpen a knife at 2 o'clock in the morning. You shouldn't use one of these pull-through sharpeners. You should use a stone. But if you're going to use one of these sharpeners, do it in a way that's intended. Luckily for you, the PigCake train doesn't stop. So I'm going to be showing you guys today a variation and a small take on the classic princess card trick. And the trick is as such. We have two poker hands taken out from a deck of cards. These could be any cards in a deck. The participant can shuffle the cards and remove two poker hands. And you're going to have them think of one card from one hand. So in this case, they're just thinking of a card from one hand. They could think of any card. They could change their mind if they want. And then you hand them this very hand to hold inside of their palms. You, as the clever mental cheat, just touch their hand briefly. And now they notice that they only have 4 cards when they had 5. Not only do they just have 4 cards in their hand, but also when they turn their hand over, their card is gone. You then show your poker hand, and of course, their card has made their way into your hand. And it's easy. That's the best part. It's easy. Now, I've come up with about a dozen different handlings for this same trick. However, I keep coming back to this one because it's my favorite. I have a different way of doing it with a larger packet. But with this, it's simple because you're using less cards. And you could justify it because it's 2 poker hands. It's 2 poker hands of 5 cards each. So you could dress it up as a poker demonstration where not only are you able to steal the card from their hand using some sort of weird cheating technique, but you're also able to get in their stupid heads because you know the exact card they picked. Hacha. Hacha. Of course, I remind you to check out the PigCake Magic Academy, the home of over 1,500 videos going over card stuff, coin stuff, everything you need to become the best magician you could possibly be, all for the low, low price of a White Claw a month. I'm able to put these videos out here for you free of charge because of the gracious acceptance of the members in the PigCake Magic Academy. So if you want to continue with these videos here, you should consider joining the PigCake Magic Academy, getting a boatload of videos, and also supporting the channel. So here's what you do. You have a participant take out 10 cards from any deck. If you want, you could take these cards out yourself. You could have them shuffle it. You could have them deal the cards out into 2 poker hands. But ultimately, all you're going to do is you're just going to grab the pile in your left hand. You're going to pinch this bottom card and keep a break right there above this card. You're then going to turn over this entire block of cards. You're then going to spread these cards one at a time, just like this, until you get to the 5th card. Because behind that 5th card, you actually have a bigger block of cards that you don't want the participant seeing. So in this case, you're showing off these 5 cards to the participant, and you're going to have them think of one. Now, I suggest doing this fairly rapidly so the participant doesn't have a chance to see more than 1 card because that's going to be discrepant in a bit. But you're going to do this, and you're going to have them just think of 1 card quickly. You got one? Perfect. Now this is going to be your poker hand. Now as I do this, I'm going to show the cards like this to the participant. I'm going to take this entire block that I'm still holding a break over, and I'm going to turn over all these cards. So look at what the participant has just done. They've thought of a card within the lower half of this packet. I'm going to spread what they think is their poker hand. Really, these are cards that they've never seen. At least the top 4 cards are potential cards that they haven't been able to see. One more time, I take the packet, the entire packet in whatever order it is. I'm going to get a buckle, get a break, and I'm going to turn over this entire block of cards. I'm then going to spread off the top 5 cards like this and show it to the participant, all the while holding a break. I'm going to have them think of one of these cards, and then I'm going to turn over the whole thing as one. So they think that's the poker hand that they're going to be given. I'm going to spread off the top 5 cards just like this as I gesture to the participant. But when I square the cards up, I'm going to square this card up, the lowermost card with the packet, and then pick up only 4. Now you're going to be tempted here to do some sort of weird nefarious count where you count these off as 5. That's going to be up to you. But personally, I just like to pick these up and hand them to the participants so they can place it between their palms. You haven't done anything yet apart from having them think of a card apparently from this pile. Now the participant is in a wonderful position because they think that their hand contains the card that they're thinking of. They also think that this hand contains 5 cards. So you're going to get them in a moment with 2 different effects. Look at how gross that looks. While the participant is holding on to their hand, you're going to spread only 5 cards in your hand as you tell them that in a moment this is going to represent my poker hand. And the card you're thinking is going to represent a card that I want. So what we're going to do here is I'm just going to close this up and I'm going to take the card that I want. And you can mime pretending to reach over to the participant and doing some move. And now you can have the participant spread their cards out. The participant is going to spread their cards and see that they only have 4 cards. This is the first effect. At this point, before the participant turns over the cards in their hand, you're going to ask them to name the card that they were thinking of out loud. Whatever card they name, that's fine. They're going to turn over this packet and see that their card is completely gone. Their card is not among these cards in their hand. You're now going to spread these cards and show that you now have 6 cards, whereas before you had 5, now you have 6. You could then turn these cards face up and show that whatever card the participant happened to have thought of has made its way into your pile. And look at what you're able to do. You're able to get essentially 5 moments of magic where you have the participant first have a card vanish from their hand, and then it's the correct card that they're merely thinking of. Now you have the ability to show your hand that now has an extra card, so you've managed to steal their card, and it happens to be the right card. And of course, a 5th moment of magic is when you hacha. Hacha. Of course, these are my playing cards, the missing piece deck of cards. These are available now. Once they're gone, they're gone. So you could buy them linked down below and get your piece of the cake. So some advice at the end of the video ties into the beginning of the video, which is when sharpening a knife, you have to be careful. You can't just forget that the knife is sharp. In this case, I was doing something that I shouldn't have. I was using the sharpener in a way that shouldn't be used, and I suffered the consequence. Now, luckily, the knife wasn't rusty by any means. However, it didn't stop bleeding. It didn't stop bleeding, which is concerning. Even after an hour, I held it over my head for some prolonged period of time, and it still was bleeding. I think it's because I took aspirin earlier in the day because I was hungover from the day previous, so my blood was kind of thin, and it didn't stop bleeding. And to super glue it was also a challenge because I had to wait to a nice period of time when it wasn't necessarily bleeding, drop the super glue, hold it, and get the effect that you have in front of you. So I'm not going to touch this for about a week, and then I'm going to report back to you guys.
I see you again, when 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 I see you again.